You've made it here. To the Shadow Spring. There's no need to be scared. Join me in the Black Water.
You know what I could proudly say? Repelling ghosts with a camera is an exuberant activity. The idea of exorcising ghosts with pictures just about blew my mind. The concept is ingenious. Make a survival horror video game about ghosts and your only weapon is a camera with film as ammunition. Cameras are usually recreational pieces of equipment that people use to capture a memory. Would you have thought to defend yourself against ghosts using a camera? Before I continue, I must point out something critically important in this video. Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water is not for the faint of heart. The video game itself is extremely depressing and morbid. Despite the dispiriting content, I will do my best to ensure this video is jovial and fun. Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water is a survival horror video game by Koei Tecmo and was released on the Wii U in 2015. You play as Yuri Kozukata, Ren Hojo, and Miyu Hinazaki. Yuri is a troubled young woman seeking to understand why she is still alive after surviving a tragic incident that killed her entire family. Her near-death experience has granted her the ability to see spirits clearly, and she wants to rid herself of the torment. Ren is a chronicler and friend to Yuri's guardian, Hisoka Kurosawa, who is haunted by memories that date back to the time of an esteemed ancestor. Miyu is a girl who seeks to find her missing mother, who went missing when she was 3 years old, and is her only living blood relative. Each of them are drawn to a mysterious mountain that held dark rituals centuries ago and is infamous for being cursed. Their individual quests begin as the mountain bears something far more sinister than mere folklore. For the sake of the video, I'll be showcasing Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water with the PlayStation 5 port. The ability to capture gameplay of the Wii U gamepad would be a tremendous amount of work and expensive overall. Not only that, but the hassle of playing with the Wii U gamepad connected to capture cables would be a hassle and dangerous. Taking pictures of ghosts in the game takes swift and precise movements of the Wii U gamepad. Needless to say, no one should have to experience that amount of physical limitation to capture gameplay. During New Year's in 2007, my family and I were at a loss of what to do after the big ball drop celebration. The buzz of our New Year's party had not yet died down. My father decided to flip through the television channels to see if anything was on to watch. He eventually landed on some channel showcasing a movie called Area 51. I think that was what the film was called. The movie was a B-rated horror film that instead felt comedic rather than terrifying. That was the starting point of our family's tradition. Every holiday season, we would find a ridiculous B-rated horror piece of entertainment to start the new year. The tradition has been altered since my father passed away. My older siblings now buy me a horror video game as a Christmas gift every year for all of us to experience together. When 2015 came around, my older siblings were absolutely ecstatic about their chosen horror video game. I had no idea what to expect. This must be something absolutely silly, is what I thought. Upon opening the gift that Christmas, I was met with a Nintendo gift card with some writing on top that said, Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water. The Wii U experience for Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water was seriously unforgettable. I fell in love with this video game instantly. The literal concept of holding the Wii U gamepad like a camera was just thrilling. The design and structure of gameplay felt satisfyingly extraordinary. There was an abundant amount of things about Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water that just felt refreshing. Refreshing. Get it? Water? Refreshing? Never mind. The list I have is gigantic and will take hours to explain each, but the number one feature that Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water does better than any other horror video game is your weapon, the camera itself. I know I am a broken record here, but to turn a camera into a weapon to fight apparitions just seems outlandish. You can directly compare the camera in Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water to that of firearms featured in other survival horror video game titles. The camera can be modified, improved, upgraded, and outfitted to match your playstyle. Picture taking never felt so intense. Because the camera is an antique, there are no modern enhancements that most people are used to having on their smartphones, such as digital storage. To capture a picture, you need film, an outdated resource material that is long forgotten in our society, or your ammunition for fighting wraiths. Not only is the camera great, but your enemies are fantastic targets. Each and every single ghost in the game is an animated marvel. The level of detail in the ghosts' movements are astonishing. The animations of the ghosts are fluid and lifelike, giving the sense of polished behavioral attributes. I have the utmost respect for the art direction of this game and appreciate the amount of work that went into designing these enemies alone. While my list of compliments and appraisal of things for Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water is long, there is one big reason that this game did not make my list of top video games of all time. Before I give you that answer, take a moment and think why this video game did not make my list of games. What was my family's tradition during the holidays? To find ridiculous B-rated horror entertainment, right? What does B-rated horror entertainment entail? That's right, bad stories. Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water has one convoluted story. Imagine a very large college textbook in your hands, and on the cover of that book reads, Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water Synopsis. You might be thinking that I am exaggerating a bit here to get you to pay attention, but I can assure you that I am not joking about how massive the story is for just this video game alone. I am sure there are retrospective videos and articles out there that detail the entire Fatal Frame series in minute detail. However, I will give you the abridged version of what really happens in Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water. Okay, once upon a time, there was this mountain in Japan that people found to be sacred. The mountain contained a dark netherworldish evil found inside the waters of this lake. The people constructed a temple and other amenities to offer prayers and hopes to appease the netherworldish evil. But that did not work. So then the people discovered that women, in general, have strong spiritual powers that could combat this evil. To draw out the most power from within the women, they were given a false moment of happiness by being wed with a man of their liking. Then, the man and women are both shoved into a box together and thrown into the middle of the lake to stop the netherworldish evil from basically escaping. All was morbidly going well, until this one woman was left alone during her false wedding ceremony. The people did not know what to do. The groom jilted the bride at the altar. He just disappeared. Time was running out, and the netherworldish evil was growing hungry. So the people threw the woman into a box alone and dropped her into the lake. But the woman could not take the stress of being alone, and became corrupted by the netherworldish evil. She then unleashed the netherworldish evil all over the mountain, thus turning everyone into ghosts. With me so far? Good! Now that the background of the story is grounded, we now focus on the 3 main storylines. Ready? We will start with Ren Hojo, who is a chronicler of historical research and perhaps the hardest to follow. Ren is a descendant of the very man that disappeared and made that poor woman become corrupt. His ancestor, Kunahiku, also grew up around the mountain area and participated in one of the first rituals performed as a boy. Also was tasked to kill a young girl that was to be put inside a box and then thrown into the lake. After that, he left the mountain area and then became a doctor of sorts. Also returns to the mountain years later with a first-generation camera in hand and requests to take pictures of things. He falls in love with one of the maidens, the woman that became corrupted, and then leaves to journey further unto yonder.
Those words were too powerful for me. Let us fall together.
After passing away, Aso's memories of the ritual he participated in become inherited nightmares that Ren now experiences vividly. As the corrupted woman spreads the netherworldish evil down the mountain, Ren's inherited memories become increasingly more spontaneous, causing him to investigate the mountain. He discovers the whole reason of why the rituals were performed and a way to resolve his ancestors' memories from occurring. Overall, Ren's story is interesting, but plain confusing.
Post-mortem photographs are used as votive pictures. The outsiders, enchanted by these photos, are wed to the shrine maidens depicted in them. And then, placed together in the same box. The shrine maidens. Is this what they were for? Did they long to become a bride for eternity?
This is only a shorthand version of Ren's story, as there is much more to cover. However, the one thing that is bothersome about Ren's story is his contradicting and two-faced assistant, Rui Kagamiya. Rui inadvertently wants Ren's attention whenever possible, and secretly wishes to be his wife. She fears telling Ren her feelings, as the result could damage their established relationship. She is a literal coward. To circumvent her distress, Rui will straight up manipulate Ren coyly at times. Furthermore, because of her infatuation, the ghost can possess her instantly and place her in danger. While Ren is trying to clear up things and resolve his problems, Rui also becomes another problem that Ren has to go and save from time to time. Understandably, Ren is constantly confused about Rui and the things she says to him. While possessed, she leaks her love for him in small amounts and expects Ren to understand. If I was Ren, I would be trying to find a new assistant as soon as possible. Rui is a supporting character in Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water. As a supporting character, she should have had a role that was more in line of helping Ren and being constructive. Instead, she is more destructive and a constant threat during a specter outbreak. The next main character is Yuri Kozukata. Yuri is a survivor of a terrible incident that killed her entire family. She no longer has any remaining relatives and is the last member of her family left alive. On top of her near-death experience, she has acquired the ability to see ghosts clearly. Yuri is extremely depressed, miserable, frightened, and despondent. Instead of being charged in a hospital, she was taken in by Hisoka Kurosawa, an antique shop owner and spiritualist. Hisoka provides Yuri with a soft rehabilitation environment with the comforts of being her helper and assistant. Hisoka plans to teach Yuri how to use her newfound ability to help find spirited away individuals. As the story continues to unfold, Hisoka eventually gets a client that wants someone to be found that went missing. She leaves the store to Yuri and also goes missing in the process. Want to guess where Hisoka goes missing? Yep, the mountain. Yuri then begins her long and actually entertaining quest to find Hisoka. Not only does she find Hisoka, but Yuri also finds other spirited away individuals. In the midst of finally recovering Hisoka, she then travels back up the mountain to confirm something that will help her rehabilitation. Yuri travels to the lake to find the woman that was corrupted and manages to purge her of all of the malevolent evil. At that moment, Yuri found someone that knows her pain better than anyone and knows that she is no longer alone. The two of them pour their grief and sorrow into one another, absolving their depression altogether. Yuri's storyline is actually pretty great. The only issue with her story is how the other stories mix into hers and result in being a confusing mess. To be quite honest, Yuri's story should have been the only story. Why? Because Miyu Hinazaki's story is nothing but disturbing and disgusting. To explain Miyu's story, we first need to understand some background information. Miyu's mother, Miku Hinazaki, is actually the main protagonist of the first Fatal Frame video game. As a child, she also suffered greatly from seeing ghosts. Only her older brother, Mafuyu Hinazaki, understood her and would help Miku cope. As they got older, Mafuyu took on contract work but mysteriously went missing on a job. Miku decided that she would go and find her older brother no matter the cost. She eventually discovered Mafuyu in some underground castle basement holding a netherworld portal from opening. The portal began to make the underground walls shake, thus collapsing on Mafuyu and leaving Miku to wonder if he is still alive. In the third Fatal Frame game, Miku returns as a supporting character as she is now an assistant to one of her older brother's friend's business. However, Miku can clearly be seen suffering in her sleep from time to time as she calls out for her older brother. In the third game, you witness that Mafuyu is in some other dimension or afterlife spirit realm. At this point, you might be thinking that he is dead, but hold on. During your time in Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water, you can read the history of Miku through the in-game notes. The first note about Miku states that she became pregnant while staying with her brother's friend. This implies that maybe she just settled down with her brother's friend or someone else. However, that is not the case. The second note reveals that Miku became pregnant with a ghost? How is that even possible? Miyu Hinazaki is a child of a ghost? If her mother is Miku, then who is the father? If you pay very close attention to everything in Miyu's story, the father is carefully omitted, but obvious. The marriage ritual performed on the mountain gave Miku incentive to be with the one she loves no matter the cost. As we can see in this photo, the resemblance is all too apparent to someone we know. I will not give out the answer. All I can say is that this is just gross. So anyway, after all of that background information out of the way, Miu's story is about finding her lost mother, who is basically seeking her older brother. Miu just wants Miku to return so they can live together as a family, but Miku wants Fuyu back because she came to realize that no one else understands her as much as he does. In my opinion, the entirety of Miu's story should have been completely removed. Any further explanation of this weird, drama-filled mess will not be necessary because the story is already complicated enough and slightly repulsive. Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water has much more details than I am actually covering. There is a massive amount left to go over. I could start a lecture about this story, to be honest. However, just know that the rudimentary outline has been explained. The story might be the worst thing about this video game, but the other aspects outshine the narrative completely. The gameplay, mechanics, artwork, and music are all excellent and entertaining. In truth, Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water is a one-of-a-kind survival horror video game. If not for the story, this video game would have taken a top 5 placement on my list of top video games of all time. I cannot tell you how often I play this video game every Halloween now. When Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water came out for the PlayStation 5, I platinumed the game instantly. I even bought the Switch version just so I could use the gyro controls. If not for my dad finding that ridiculous B-rated film and my older siblings purchasing this video game, Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water would never have been a favorite game of mine. I have been researching and keeping an eye on updates about this franchise. There is word that the series will continue, but that has yet to be confirmed. My biggest hope is that the franchise does continue, because I really do enjoy the concept of fighting ghosts with a recreational piece of equipment. Alright, Professor Oak, time to razzle-dazzle you. Here's what I got. What? Okay, yeah. How does that even make sense? Wow. Alright, fine. I'll take it.
Wonderful.
Here's my next one. Come on. What?
Wonderful.
Okay. 190 points? Come on. 340? What? These scores are ridiculous.
Wonderful.
Okay, here's my last one. 280, dude, that's literally in the middle of the picture.
Wonderful.
Okay, alright. Whatever. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video and episode, please feel free to check out the Pondersaur channel for more episodes. Our Etsy store has expanded inventory with exclusive socks. Along with the Pondersaur mug, you can now update your wardrobe with Pondersaur apparel. Come check out our store via a link provided in the description below. Once again, thank you for all that have supported this community. I'm your host, Richard Dahlm, and this is Pondersaur Words with a Roar. Take care.